hello, check, hello, hello, six, hello, 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 check, 1, 2, 3, check, hello.
Dear students, please maintain silence and get ready to welcome the guests.
A pleasant morning to all of you gathered here. Innovation begins when curiosity overcomes comfort and discovery thrives when minds connect. I welcome you all for the International Conference on Food and Agricultural Integration for a Resilient World, Navigating Global Challenges, organized by the PG and Research Department of Home Science, Fatima College, Madurai. This conference highlights interdisciplinary solutions linking agriculture, nutrition, sustainability, and innovation. It serves as a platform for knowledge exchange, dialogue, and partnership driving actions for sustainable development, climate resilience, and global food security.
Where there is light, there is knowledge. Where there is knowledge, there is growth. I now cordially invite our dignitaries to come forward for lighting the lamp. May I now invite Reverend Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, Principal, to light the first wick, the wick of knowledge. invite Dr. Avishek Datta, Professor, Department of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, to light the second wick of wisdom. I invite Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran, Head, Center for Applied Nutrition Services and Glycemic Index Research, Unit of School of Applied Sciences, Thematic Polytechnic, Singapore, to light the third wick, the wick of harmony. Now I invite Dr. S. Shanti, Head, PG and Research Department of Home Science and convener of this international conference, to light the fourth wick of hope. I invite the organizing secretaries, Dr. C. Helen and Dr. C. Priyalata, Associate and Assistant Professors of PG and Research Department of Home Science, to light the fifth wick, the wick of innovation. Thank you, dignitaries, for igniting the spirit of the conference with the lamp lighting.
Every good work begins with God. Let us surrender this moment to God through prayer. Let us all rise up for the prayer song.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, he will make a way. He will make a way. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, he will make a way. He will make a way.
Thank you for the melodious prayer that lifted our hearts and brightened this gathering. Welcoming is an art and gift which we receive and enjoy with a smile. I invite Dr. S. Shanti, Head, PG and Research Department of Home Science and convener of this conference, to deliver the welcome address.
Give thanks to the Lord for his good. His love endures forever. Psalm 107:1. A very pleasant morning to one and all. With immense joy and heart filled with gratitude, I extend a warm and gracious welcome to each of you to the International Conference on Food and Agricultural Integration for Resilient World, Navigating Global Challenges. It is truly a moment of pride for the PG and Research Department of Home Science, Fatima College, Madurai, to host this significant event that brings together brilliant minds, passionate researchers, dedicated educators, and enthusiastic learners under one roof to work collectively toward building a resilient and sustainable future. At the outset, I welcome our respected Secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Ignatius Mary. Her visionary leadership, dedicated effort, and unwavering commitment have contributed significantly to the prestige and progress of Fatima College. She was instrumental in elevating Fatima College to the status of a college with potential for excellence. We are deeply grateful, Sister, for constantly encouraging initiatives that enhance our academic excellence. A warm welcome to you, Sister. I also welcome our beloved principal, Reverend Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, a young and dynamic administrator. Her gentle leadership and steadfast dedication have enriched teaching learning practices and cultivated a vibrant intellectual climate. Her example of simplicity, humility, and devotion continues to inspire young generations of Fatima. Her support has been instrumental in transforming this conference from an idea into a grand scholarly event. We are honored to have you deliver the inaugural address and releasing the proceedings, marking the perfect beginning to this academic gathering. Thank you, Sister. I sincerely welcome you. It's my privilege to extend a most respectful welcome to our eminent keynote speakers who have joined us from across the globe to enrich our understanding of the conference theme. I'm deeply honored to welcome Professor Abhishek Datta, Professor, Department of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand. Professor Datta completed his BSc Agriculture Honours and MSc Agronomy from BC State Agriculture University, West Bengal, India, and his PhD Crop Science from the University of New England, New South Wales, Australia. He began his career as a casual academic at the University of New England, Australia, and later joined AIT Bangkok, rising from assistant professor to head and professor in the Department of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources. He has served as a chair, Doctoral Progress Review Committee, guiding 24 PhD and 76 master's students, with 14 PhD and 16 master's students currently in progress. With over 17 years of international experience, his expertise spans sustainable crop production, climate smart and regenerative agriculture, climate change adaptation, crop water management, stress tolerance, conservation agriculture, organic farming, and integrated nutrient and pest management. He has received numerous awards, including the Distinguished Researcher Award for thrice 2018, 24, and 25. Certificate of Appreciation for contributing 28 publications towards Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger from Elsewhere. Most cited article Elsewhere 2021 award, Distinguished Teaching Awards for twice, 2016 and 2015, Outstanding Reviewer twice, 2017 and 2014, Science Director Top 25 Hottest Articles 2011, Featured Article Weeds and Society of America 2010, and several prestigious scholarship and fellowship, including the Cooperative Research Center for Australian Weed Management Scholarship, UNE Research Assistantship, ICAR Fellowship, and multiple merit scholarship. He has implemented major research, development, and outreach projects in Australia, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Lapidar, Myanmar, Nepal, Thailand, Timor-Leste, USA, Vietnam, funded by leading international agencies. He currently serves as Associate Editor for Frontiers in Agronomy and the International Journal of Pest Management. His publications include peer-reviewed scientific articles 201, edited book 1, book chapters 10, conference proceedings 67, extension article 8, Scopus H index 35, and 4,516 citations. Google Scholar H index 45, 7,109 citations. Despite his global commitments, he graciously accepted our invitation with humility. Thank you, sir, for your esteemed presence. Your insights on regenerative agriculture, a tool to address climate change and food insecurity, will undoubtedly provide a strong foundation for our conference deliberations. A heartfelt welcome to you, sir. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran, whose distinguished academic journey laid a strong foundation in nutrition and dietetics. She completed her MSc in Food Service Management and Dietetics at Avinash Lingam University, Coimbatore, followed by an MPhil and PhD in the same field, establishing deep expertise in nutrition science and food service management. She is currently the Deputy Director, Industry Partnerships, and Head of the Glycemic Index Research Unit at Temas Polytechnic, Singapore. With over 2 decades of experience in food and nutrition, she founded Singapore's first accredited glycemic index research unit and has led numerous nutrition intervention and efficacy trials. As a cluster co-chair for the Nutrition and Health Tech Cluster, she derives institution-wide applied research that connects academic excellence with industry needs. She has commercialized several food products and holds multiple invention disclosures. Recognized as an expert advisor to the Minister of Health Singapore, she has contributed significantly to national initiatives such as sugar and sodium reduction and the Nutri-Grade labeling for sugar-sweetened beverages. Dr. Kalpana's leadership spans several key organizations. She is president of the Singapore Nutrition Dietetics Association and advisor to Diabetes Singapore. She serves on the board of directors directors of the Alliance for Patient Organizations Singapore and is an active member of the Agency of Care Effectiveness Consumer Panel, offering strategic insights on patient-centered health policies. She also serves on the academic board of the Society of Behavioral Health Singapore. Her commitment to patient environment is reflected in her involvement in MOH Citizen Zuri and working groups on diabetes prevention and care. Her global influence includes serving as an executive committee member of the Asian Nutrition Society for Sports and Health and the Federation Asian Nutrition Societies. Her exemplary contributions have earned her the Ministry of Education Innovation Award and the National Commendation Award from the Prime Minister's Office for her work in diabetes education. It's a pleasure to reconnect her after 33 years from the college, and she played a pivotal role in shaping this conference. Thank you, Dr. Kalpana. Your expertise on reframing food security through a nutrition lens will greatly enrich our discussions. A cordial welcome to you. I'm equally honored to welcome Dr. Srimawa Nair, Scientist and Chair, Nutrition and Fortification, FSSAI, New Delhi, and Dr. R. Selvarajan, Director, ICAR, NRC Trichy, who will be addressing us tomorrow and are joining the sessions through YouTube today. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. C. Kalaivani, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Home Science, Queen Mary's College, Chennai. Your presence enhances the academic prestige of this conference. A warm welcome to you. With great joy, I welcome the vibrant Vice Principals, Dr. Sister J. Errol Mary, Dr. Sister Bindu Anthony, Mrs. Nicola Raghavan, Dr. Ms. S. Vidya, Deans of Science and Arts, Deans of Research, and IQC Coordinator, and thank them for their constant support. A heartfelt appreciation goes to Dr. C. Priyalata and Dr. C. Helen, Faculty, PG Department of Home Science, whose dedication, meticulous planning, and tireless hard work over the past weeks have brought this conference into fruition. I extend my sincere acknowledgement to the organizing committee, faculty members of PG Department of Home Science, student volunteers, and the technical support team for their relentless efforts. Your teamwork reflects the true spirit of Fatima College. I affectionately welcome you. With great pleasure, I extend a hearty welcome to the enthusiastic students of Home Science family, academicians, professionals, research scholars, participants from across the state and from Canada, and the participants list colleges includes Arulananda College, Madurai, Bishop Cotton Women's Christian College, Bangalore, Karnataka, Bishop Heber College, Trichy, Dr. NGP Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, Jamal Muhammad College, Trichy, JAS College of Agriculture and Technology, Kadalur, Manna Thirumalainakira College, Madurai, Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research, Chennai, Ratnavel Subramanian College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Sadakatapatula College, Tirunelveli, School of Life Sciences, JSS Academic of Higher Education and Research, Ooty, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya University of Tripudi, Andhra Pradesh, SRM University, Delhi, the American College, Madurai, the Gandhigram Rural Institute, Gandhigram, the Standard Fireworks Rajaratnam College for Women, Sivakashi, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, University of Guelph, Canada, Government Arts College, Coimbatore, Sambalpur University, Odisha. I also thank all the participants who are watching right now from the YouTube and participating in the conference. On behalf of the Home Science family, I once again welcome each one of you to this academic feast. May these 2 days be enlightening, inspiring, and enriching for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for guiding this conference with encouraging and forward-looking thoughts and actions. Thank you once again for your warm words of welcome.
With great respect, I now invite our beloved principal, Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, a great leader who influenced and inspires all of us towards academic excellence, to deliver the inaugural address and release the proceedings.
Distinguished guests on the dais, Professor Abhishek and Dr. Kalpana, our esteemed head of the department, Dr. Shanti, dear participants, faculty from various colleges, research scholars, and students, and my dear students of Fatima College, a blessed morning to each one of you. It is with honor and pride I stand on behalf of the management to extend my heartfelt felicitations to the Department of Home Science under the headship of Dr. Shanti for taking a tremendous effort in organizing this international conference. First of all, I extend my hearty congratulations to each one of you, dear staff and students of Home Science. I feel this conference is the right time as the world strives to strengthen food and nutrition systems amidst growing global challenges. The conference theme on food and agricultural integration for a resilient world highlights the fragility of the food systems and the need for a climate resilient agriculture. It also reminds us of a deep connection between the food, health, environment, and human development, which calls us, or in other way to say, urges us to reflect on how caring the people and caring the planet must always go hand in hand. While I was preparing for a message for the felicitation, browsing through the internet, it was interesting to note that the theme chosen for this conference aligns closely with the United Nations vision for sustainable and resilient food systems and the 6 essential global transitions that promote energy access, digital connectivity, education, social protection, and climate readiness. By embracing these priorities, I suppose the Department of Home Science continues its mission of shaping a future where food systems are fair, inclusive, and capable of nourishing every individual. This spirit of integrating knowledge with societal responsibility resonates beautifully with the mission of Fatima College to nurture individuals who serve the world with competence, compassion, and a deep sense of commitment. So once again, I wholeheartedly congratulate the Department of Home Science, the staff and students under the headship of Dr. Shanti for bringing together the expertise, scientists, researchers, innovators, and the future researchers are students from across the globe. Such platforms are vital for generating new knowledge, forging global collaborations, and enriching for ongoing discourse on sustainable food and agriculture. So your leadership and the initiative highlights the connections among nutrition, socio-economic well-being, environmental stewardship, and global resilience is truly commendable, and congratulations to each one of you. Dear participants, your keen interest on participating in this conference highlights or reflects a shared commitment to building a healthier and more resilient world. As you take part in this conference, involve yourself in various discussions and deliberations as the eminent personalities are here to enlighten you with their insights, with their messages and their reflections. I encourage each one of you to take part actively and engage yourself with openness and curiosity. Every idea that is going to be shared here has the potential to spark innovation, influence your communities, and shape the future of sustainable food and agricultural practices. May this conference offer you new perspectives, meaningful connections, and a renewed sense of purpose. I hope this conference inspires you with enriching learning experiences and fruitful discussions to become ambassadors of responsibility, compassion, and responsible leaders in your own field. My prayerful wishes and blessings to each one of you for the success of this international conference. May God bless each one of you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for your inspiring message that beautifully aligned with the vision of this conference. I cordially invite respected Principal Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary to release the proceedings.
I cordially welcome Principal Reverend Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary to release the proceedings. The proceedings is received by Professor Abhishek Datta. Thank you, sir. Thank you, dignitaries. It's a honor to felicitate our distinguished chief guests for adding value and dignity to this conference. I humbly call upon Principal Reverend Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary to honor Professor Abhishek Datta. Thank you, sister. May I now invite Dr. S. Shanti, Head PG and Research Department of Home Science and convener of this international conference, to honor Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran. And also to honor the principal, Reverend Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary. Thank you, ma'am.
Great lectures plant seeds of thoughts that grow long after words are spoken. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our distinguished speaker, Dr. Abhishek Datta, Professor, Department of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, Ancient Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, to deliver the thematic address.
Good morning, everyone. I think you are having a good time today. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Shanti for inviting me to attend this great conference. And I also would like to thank Dr. Fatima Mary, Principal, Fatima College, Madurai, for overseeing this event. So I was one day like you, sitting, the place where you have now. Okay, I was born and brought up in a small town in North Bengal. I don't know how much you know about Shiliguri, Darjeeling, those places. We are very close to Himalayas. So now the temperature is very low. During winter time, we get, around 9 to 10 degrees centigrade. And then, so I came from a, very common family, like many of you are here. So, and then I moved to kind of a city, where we have the agriculture university, we call Bidhan Chandra Krishi Vishwavidyalaya in Mohanpur, which is very close to Kolkata. So I did my bachelor and master's degree. I still remember those days. So at that time, actually, my money bag was empty. I don't have money. So I was only getting 800 rupees, 800 INR from my home per month, for the living expenses. And even when I was a child, so my intention was not to put any extra burden to my family. So I was requesting the minimum amount which I would be requiring. So money was not there, but I had lots of hope in my mind. And with that hope, I completed my bachelor and master's, especially in agriculture. Then I started my PhD in IIT Kharagpur, many of you might be knowing. And but I did not continue. I was 1.5 years there. So after that, I got a full scholarship and I went to Australia for my PhD. So after my PhD, I went to USA for my postdoc. I was 4.5 years with University of Nebraska Lincoln, which is the Midwestern United States. And then I joined at Asian Institute of Technology as an assistant professor in August 2012. And then this is very briefly. So I am very glad to see the girl power. I also have a daughter, so I always support any activities. So previously when Dr. Shanti started communicating with me, I was hesitant that whether to go, whether not to go, because this time, I am extremely busy. So basically I came from Asian Institute of Technology in Bangkok. So we are largely postgraduate institute with masters and PhD students. Actually, I have one exam today for my postdoc actually will be taking that exam. So I was hesitant that after Dr. Shanti was communicating with me, and then on 14th of December, I have to come back to India again for my 3-week annual leave. But then I little bit looked around, and then I did a Google search on Fatima College, and then I liked the principle, the mission, the vision of Fatima College, and then I have seen that largely is a institute where supporting the great cause and for the women. Then I immediately accepted the offer. Okay, so here I am now. So, and the theme also, it is related to agriculture. So I have put my whole life for the development of agricultural sector, for doing some research. Many of you, Dr. Shanti told me that you are undergraduate students, but you are from India, and I have very deep respect for Indian education. So I will be trying my best to make you understand what we are doing actually as part of my research. So currently I have 15 PhD students and almost 20 master students, 2 postdoc and 1 research associate in my team who are working on different aspects of agriculture. And knowingly or unknowingly, you know about agriculture. Although you are from home science related courses, but maybe you have seen your parent, your father, your grandfather, or some of the neighboring people, they are doing some kind of agriculture for their livelihood, because Asian economy, agriculture is the backbone of the economy. So today I will be talking about regenerative agriculture. So in 2023, I have received a big grant from the Rockefeller Foundation from the United States. So with that project, we have started working on regenerative agriculture. Before I go to my presentation slide, okay, so I put my topic as regenerative agriculture, a tool to address climate change and food insecurity. Okay, so 3 important keywords I am using. One is regenerative agriculture, climate change, and food security. Okay, so I will give you a very brief background before I start my lecture today. So, as you know that agriculture is very, very important. Okay, and I also hope that you know the story of Green Revolution, which actually happened in Indian subcontinent in early 1960s, around 1964, and then Dr. M.S. Swaminathan from India and Dr. Norman Borlaug, who got actually the Nobel Prize, he was from, Iowa State University. So I was with University of Nebraska, did my postdoc, and Iowa and Nebraska, they are neighboring states. So what happened actually before Green Revolution? So before Green Revolution, the productivity of major cereal crops for example, rice, wheat, corn. So their yield was very, very low. Okay. So, and then before harvest, because those plants we call pre-green revolution plants, we do not have any good genetics. So the plants were growing very, very taller. So before harvest, even with a minor wind, so those plants used to break down. In technical term, we call them lodging. And then the soil has moisture when the grain was falling on the ground. So those grains used to germinate. So it means that the farmers could not even harvest 1 ton per hectare. So at that time, population was increasing, right? And then there is a large food insecurity prevailing across the whole Indian subcontinent. So that was a key driver to push that we need to do something more to increase productivity, crop productivity, and also to enhance farmers' livelihoods. So with that mission, actually, Green Revolution came. So with Green Revolution, actually, we have changed the genetics of the crop. Now, most of the rice, most of the wheat you are now looking around, these are all dwarf variety. That means short variety. Okay. And their yield potential has also been increased. So in many cases, their yield has increased 2 times, or even some cases their yield has increased 3 times. So when farmers, they were getting more yield, that means they could sell their product to the market so that their livelihood would be increasing. So that was actually the whole concept of Green Revolution. But this is the positive side of Green Revolution. But there are some other negative sides also were there for Green Revolution. So what are those? So during that Green Revolution, we have made, crops which has high yield potential. That means the crop can give us more yield, but also with the expense of more nutrition, we call plant nutrients, water, and plant protection materials. So before Green Revolution, our farmers, they used to grow only one crop. We call them monocropping, only one crop, because the crop takes longer time to mature. We call them long duration crop. So with Green Revolution, we have also made the crop, short duration. So we have made variety which can give us more yield, but at the same time, we need to add fertilizer, we need to apply, water at the right amount of time, and also we need to apply plant protection materials also at the same time. So with these interventions, so farmers, they harvested 2 times or 3 times yield. So it happened perfect for the 30 years without any problem. Okay. So in starting with 2000, then we have seen that the yield actually has started declining. So I know that maybe you are studying, economics. So did you hear about law of diminishing return? How many of you have studied law of diminishing return? Can you raise your hands? Law of diminishing return. You guys are studying agricultural economics or any economics? Okay, maybe not. So what law of diminishing return says? Law of diminishing return says that with increasing input, if you start increasing input, does not necessarily mean that your output also will be increasing. It will be increasing up to one point. Then if you increase your input, there will be a plateau. And further beyond that point, if you are increasing your input, then your yield will start declining. So that actually happened with Green Revolution. Early 2000, then we have seen that the yield starts declining. So that was the problem actually we call, intensive agricultural practices solely depending on, inorganic residue, or we call agrochemicals. So farmers, they are using lots of fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer. Farmers, they are using lots of, pesticide into the field, but they did not use much organic input into the field. So through 30 years, the organic matter content of most of our agricultural soils in Indian subcontinent, so drastically reduced. And then, scientists across the world or many development agencies, they realized that if farmers, they practice agriculture, now they were doing, so it cannot be sustainable. So now we need to reduce chemical input into the soil, and then we need to actually increase, dependence on nature-based solutions. Okay. So then many of the countries, they have started their research on organic agriculture, low external input agriculture, but many of these movements also did not go through. For example, organic movement, took momentum mainly in the Western countries because their population size is small, people are rich, they can afford. But, many countries like India, where our per capita income is still very low, so people cannot afford to have organic agricultural, practices solely. So then the concept of regenerative agricultural practices came. I will be explaining more what is regenerative agricultural practices. And then at the same time, so now we are also under the impact of climate change. So the climate change impact is felt everywhere, not only in India, across the globe. And then we are projecting two important things with climate change. One, the global surface temperature will be increasing. Actually, it is evident now that in the past 100 years, global temperature has increased by 0.9 to almost 1 degree centigrade. The second one, there will be variability in rainfall pattern, because if you understand, largely, in Indian subcontinent, normally the monsoon period is 4 months, June, July, August, September. So, and then monsoon actually is the advent of the rainy season where we receive lots of rain, and all our farming practices actually are dependent on this rainfall. So now with climate change, we are projecting that there will be a variability in rainfall pattern. So what it means? It simply means that some of the traditional areas where we used to receive high rainfall, now we will be actually receiving less rainfall. And some of the traditional areas where we used to receive less rainfall, now due to climate change, we will be receiving high rainfall. So this all changing temperature, and rainfall pattern, they will have serious impact on agriculture, because agriculture is a sector which is impacted by climate change, and at the same time, agriculture also contributes to climate change. So in this aspect, and then if there is scarcity of fresh water, if the temperature is rising, many of the crops, for example, rice, okay, so its yield will be drastically decreased, and which will have a severe repercussion on global food security, because rice is a very important crop, not only in India, in many other countries. So more than 3 billion people in the world, they depend on rice directly or indirectly. So now you have the background. Okay, so from traditional agricultural practices, pre-Green Revolution, then Green Revolution came in early 1964, lots of productivity, improvement, farmers' livelihood enhancement happened, but it also left with us in a chemical dependence into the agricultural production system. So now we are want to reduce the chemical dependence into the agricultural sector. And at the same time, so climate change now also becomes a factor where temperature is increasing, and then we are also projecting rainfall variability. So with the backdrop of climate change, it is related to agriculture, it is related to food security. And to address this problem, we are introducing, regenerative agricultural practices. And today I will be showing you some of my experimental findings. We have done, experiments And then I will be showing you some of the important results where, how integrating these regenerative agricultural practices into the production system, how it can improve yield, farmers' livelihood, and some of the associated factors. Okay, please change. Next slide. Okay, so I will be telling you a little bit background I already talked about. So starting with climate change, then regenerative agriculture, and then regenerative agriculture, actually, there are some practices we need to select for regenerative agricultural practices. So I will be talking about biochar. Have you heard about biochar? Any of you? Not. Okay. So I will explain what is biochar. And second one is alternate wetting and drying irrigation. So this is a water management practice specially designed for rice cultivation. Okay. Then I will be showing you some of our experimental findings, and then finally conclusion. So this I already talked about you, the interrelationship about global warming, climate change, right? So you know that I told you that in the last 100 years, global surface temperature has increased by almost 0.9 degrees centigrade, right? So our temperature is increasing, which is known as, global warming. So what are the causes of global warming? One of the cause is, increased, we are releasing more amount of greenhouse gases. For example, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and many fluorinated gases into the atmosphere. So greenhouse gas actually acts like a blanket, which stays in the lower atmosphere. And the heat, due to this blanket, the heat cannot escape into the space. So that is the reason that our surface temperature is increasing. So, and this global warming actually one of the causes of climate change. There are many other causes. So some are natural causes and some are anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic means that man-made. And most of the climate change, which we are, observing now, it due to man-made or anthropogenic climate change. So that's what we are relating global warming, and these are some of the drivers of global warming. If we are burning something, right, it releases greenhouse gas. Okay. So if we are driving car, it releases greenhouse gas. If we are raising livestock, for example, cow also releases greenhouse gas, especially methane. And also rice production. Many of you came from rural areas. You have seen that how farmers, they grow rice, right? So all of you have seen rice. All of you, right? And you have also seen that rice normally grow under flooded condition with standing water. We call them lowland rice or flooded rice. Okay. So lowland rice also is responsible for producing methane into the atmosphere, which causes, global warming, especially in the lower atmosphere. So which is one of the causes of climate change. And climate change, there are many impacts of climate change into the atmosphere. So it depends on, it impacts on environmental sustainability, on food security, I will be explaining, human health, and also economic and social sustainability. But today, primarily, I will be talking about agriculture and food security. Next. So now, the challenges, due to climate change and food security. So I have already explained to you before. So we are saying that due to climate change, there are some extreme weather events. For example, drought, flood, heat waves, they are all impacting actually our crop production system, and it is also, we can quantify. Okay, we have already quantified if 1 degree centigrade temperature increases, how much yield reduction will be happening in major crops. Okay, so there is an impact. And then if the temperature also increases, so it will also have impact on, food availability, we call, food availability and quality, which is the component of food security. And also, so due to this, there are many farmers, they will be, facing, challenges. So this will be have impact on farming practices. And I told you that post green revolution, farmers, they are not actually practicing, sustainable farming practices. So for example, due to intensive farming practices, now in many parts of India, the area I came from in West Bengal, North Bengal, so we actually grow 4 crops a year. Now you can understand, with intensive cropping, so the health of the soil will be deteriorating. For human, human health is very, very important. For soil also, soil health is very, very important. So a healthy soil can support a healthy food production system. Okay. So then we are all using overuse of water and agrochemicals, I told you, leads to resource depletion and pollution. And overall, this will be impacting our biodiversity. Okay. And then the concept of regenerative agricultural practices came because, before regenerative agriculture, maybe you have heard about sustainable agriculture. Okay. So sustainable agriculture actually is good because it minimizes some harms into the production system. But regenerative agriculture even is better because it heals up the ecosystem where our production happens. So that's what we are saying, that sustainable agriculture focuses on minimizing harm, whereas regenerative agriculture goes beyond sustainable agriculture by healing the ecosystem. So the entry point of regenerative agriculture actually is the soil health. As I was saying, that a good soil can sustain a good production system. So that's what we are saying, that regenerative practices rebuild soil health and hence water retention. Because due to climate change, we are projecting more drought. So if we can become soil healthy, that soil actually can restore more water and more nutrients, which will be better for the production point of view. So that's what now there is a need for transitioning to regenerative practices for long-term sustainability of our production systems. Okay, so there are different impact of climate change. For example, infrastructure and transportation, and water, health, agriculture, energy, tourism, and recreation. Some are direct effect and some are indirect effect. So today we will be focusing on water and agricultural sector. Okay, so water, energy, and agriculture, they are very much related, and these all 3 sectors will be impacted by climate change. Okay, because over the years, through intensive production system, our land degradation already has started. So due to land degradation, our farmers will have lower productivity, and which will, give them poverty. Okay. So, and then there will be more pressure on our natural resource base. So that's what, if we are doing intervention, so in case of climate change, we talk about climate change adaptation and climate change mitigation. If we are doing in one sector also, that will have a good impact into the overall systems. Yeah. So now, as I was mentioning before, so what is regenerative agricultural practices? So there are some important criteria the agricultural system needs to fulfill so that we can call it as a regenerative agricultural practices. First one is the soil health. So we are saying that a regenerative agriculture basically is a nature-based solution. So we need to depend less on the chemicals. So improving nature-based solution which improves soil health, reduce input cost for farming. So increasing the resilience of farming system in the context of climate change. So sequestering carbon. Okay. So sequestering carbon is very, very important because you know that. So global atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration is increasing now. So now in the atmosphere, our carbon dioxide concentration is 0.04%. During the pre-industrial era, so the carbon dioxide concentration was far, far lower. So at the same time, the carbon dioxide concentration is increasing because we are adding more industry. We are using lots of energy, but at the same time, we are also doing deforestation. So who is going to absorb this increasing, carbon dioxide? Because normally plants, they absorb this carbon dioxide during the photosynthesis process. Okay. So now when the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere is increasing, so now the global ocean actually has started absorbing this carbon dioxide, which is also not good. So now we need to also find a way so that our soil can sequester this additional carbon, in the process of carbon sequestration, which is very, very important. And then it will help, improve crop resilience, minimize the negative impact on the environment, and above all, so it will be, enhancing the livelihood of the farmers. Okay, so there are many different types of regenerative agricultural practices. Okay, so starting from cover crop, mulching, crop residue management, agroforestry, maybe you have heard about, direct seeding of rice, then compost and manure, application of biochar, crop rotation, alternate wetting and drying irrigation, that is a special irrigation practice, water management practice for rice, then intercropping, tillage practice, and organic farming. So there are multiple regenerative agricultural practices, but for our research, we have actually selected two important regenerative agricultural practices. One is alternate wetting and drying, I will be explaining, and then application of biochar. So why regenerative agricultural practices are important in the context of climate change? Because I said that it helps actually sequester more carbon in the soil. Okay, how? So there are different agricultural practices, for example, no-till farming, cover cropping, or agroforestry. They can actually enhance soil organic carbon or soil organic matter. Okay, so that means that it can absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and sequester in the soil, which actually helps, for the atmosphere. And then second point, it reduces emissions, especially greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so because through regenerative agricultural practices, we are putting less dependence on synthetic fertilizer or agrochemicals. So lower dependence on synthetic fertilizer, pesticide, and intensive machinery, help reduce greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. Third point, improved water efficiency. Because I told you before that, through climate change, there are two important things we are projecting. One is increasing temperature, and then the second one is the variability in rainfall pattern. So now we have to improve the soil health so that the soil can actually retain more water, and at the same time it can retain more nutrients. So we are saying that through regenerative agricultural practices, it will be helping, for a better soil structure and increasing organic matter content, which will be helping to store more water during dry period or during drought conditions. And also, it will be increasing the resilience of the ecosystems. So because, regenerative agricultural practices, it will help, the biodiverse systems and healthier soils. So they will be buffering against flood, drought, and many other environmental stress, for example, heat stress. And at the same time, through climate change, our farmers, they also need to do many adaptation and mitigation measures. So these regenerative agricultural practices, they will also help enhance farm adaptability. Okay, so With regenerative agricultural practices, we are also going to address food insecurity. How? So regenerative agricultural practices, they will be increasing yield. Okay. So by improving soil fertility and water retention, especially in the marginal lands, which will help food security. So then we will have resilient food systems. They can adapt environmental stress. So can empower smallholder farmers with cost-effective, low-input farming methods. And at the end, these regenerative practices will be localized, diverse food production, which will be improving, enhancing the community's food security. So in these regenerative practices, I already mentioned you that rice is very, very important. Rice is not just like a crop. Rice now, it integrates into our into our community, into our custom. Okay, so rice is very, very important. And then rice holds a very important position in global agriculture. I told you that more than 3 billion people, they depend on rice for their energy. So globally, rice has a huge importance. So this is the energy source for more than 50% of the population. And I also told that rice is a crop which is impacted by climate change, and rice also contributes to climate change by releasing more greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, especially methane. And at the same time, we are also having soil degradation in the form of loss in organic matter. And our resource, we are not using our resources, for example, water, very precisely. So, and at the same time, by 2050, the global population will be very close to 10 billion people. So it suggests that we also, need to increase the productivity of rice in the context of climate change. So why we have selected actually biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation? If you go to the farmers and if you ask that, tell us what are the 2 main problems of your production? First of all, they will say that our soil health is not good. And second one, there is water scarcity. So that's what we have selected these 2 interventions, because if we are adding biochar into the production system, it helps improve soil health. It helps soil to retain more moisture. It helps soil to retain more nutrients. And alternate wetting and drying irrigation we have selected because the lowland rice production system or the flooded rice production system, actually more than 70% of the fresh water is used for lowland rice production system. So that's what we have used biochar, so that it can boost soil carbon, because biochar basically is a carbon product. So it can boost soil carbon, that means soil organic matter will be increasing, and at the same time soil microbial population, because inside soil there are many different types of microbial population. For example, bacteria are there, fungi are there, so it will also support. And with alternate wetting and drying irrigation we have selected because it will improve water use efficiency. So now globally, many development agencies now, they are talking about more crop per drop. That means it means that we need to actually produce more crop by using as less water as possible. So that's what with alternate wetting and drying irrigation, so we improve water use efficiency, and at the same time it will be also reducing methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. So biochar, what is biochar? Biochar is basically a pyrolyzed carbon-rich organic amendment. Okay, so in our research, we have used rice husk, because after extracting the grain, rice husk in many countries, is not much of use. So we can use this rice husk and make a, carbon-rich product for soil application. So basically, biochar is a pyrolyzed carbon-rich organic amendment. So it helps sequester carbon in the soil, so reduces greenhouse gas emissions, especially methane, also improves soil health and soil fertility. Okay, so now I will talk about a special type of, irrigation method. developed by the International Rice Research Institute in the Philippines. So normally, you know about lowland rice production. So I think the rice is already harvested now. So maybe during June, July, you have seen that farmers, they have planted their rice in standing water. You have seen that, right? Most of the, rice grows now. We call it rain-fed rice, where rice grows under standing water, 3 to 5 centimeters standing water. So what is the problem? The problem is that with climate change, we are projecting that there will be less fresh water availability. That means farmer will be facing problems with water, because now rice actually is the crop which uses, so just to produce 1 kg of rice grain, farmers, they need to apply 3,000 liter of water. Now you can understand that rice is a huge water intensive crop. Okay, so we cannot afford to have that amount of fresh water in the context of climate change. And second problem is greenhouse gas emissions, because when farmers, they grow rice under flooded condition, there is no oxygen inside the soil. Okay, an anaerobic condition prevails inside the soil. So under that anaerobic condition, the organic matter which is present inside the soil, it decomposes. And during the decomposition process, there are different types of, bacteria, or we call archaea. They actually, decompose this organic matter and releases methane into the atmosphere. So both of this problem can be minimized if we are using this alternate wetting and drying irrigation. So by the name, you can understand this is basically alternate. Alternate basically is a cycle. That means during some time, you need to flood the field with water, and during the some time, you need to dry up the soil. So through research conducted in my program, we have seen that if we are using alternate wetting and drying, up to 70% methane emissions can be reduced. So there is a, large benefit. So now there are some technical details. So it is very user friendly. Farmers, they just need to buy a PVC pipe, and then they need to install that PVC pipe inside the field. Okay. And I told you that during some time, the field need to be flooded, and during some time, the field need to be dry. So how farmers easily they can do it? They need to insert this PVC pipe. You can see that this is PVC pipe inside the soil. Okay. So for example, farmers today, they irrigate their field with 3 to 5 centimeter standing water. Then the depth of the water will be decreasing, right? And then when the next time irrigation farmers need to do, so when the, depth of the water table drops 15 centimeter below the soil surface, that is the time the farmers, they need to re-irrigate their field. So from research, we have seen that this time can be depending from 3 to 7 days, depending on soil and environmental conditions. So with alternate wetting and drying, we are saying that a method of irrigation where fields are subjected to intermittent flooding and rotation of saturated and unsaturated soil conditions, it increases water productivity, because we can save water and irrigation water up to 40%. That means if farmers, they use this, alternate wetting and drying irrigation, they can save up to 45% irrigation water. Okay. So which actually helps them to reduce their input cost. And the second point is very, very important, that using alternate wetting and drying irrigation, we can reduce up to 70% of methane emissions. And at last, the most important thing that compared with, continuous flooding, if farmers, they use alternate wetting and drying irrigation, so their yield is not going to reduce. So these are some of the, practical guide we have provided. So how we need to prepare this PVC pipe, how to install this PVC pipe into the field. And then the most important thing, you can see that when the water, level inside the PVC pipe drops below 15 centimeter from the soil surface, that is the next time the farmers, they should be applying the irrigation practice. Okay, so now with this background, I will now talk about some of the experimental findings in my research group. So we do two kinds of research. One is survey based. When you go for masters and PhD, you will understand better. So one is survey based, and the second one is experimental based. Experimental based means that my students, they do work, in the laboratory, in the greenhouse, and also at the field condition. So with the Rockefeller Foundation project, so we have actually conducted 3 greenhouse experiments which were conducted inside a greenhouse, and then 2 field experiments. So I will be showing you some results of greenhouse study with case study 1, and also some of the results I will show you from the field study. So what is this experiment? Very simple experiment we have done on rice, because I told you that, with using biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, I told you that it saves water, right? And it improves soil. Now there is a time we need to prove, because in science, nothing can be accepted unless we prove it. So that's what with these experiments, so we have proved it that using biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, if farmers, they adopt it, it will be better for the farmers. So we have done a simple experiment in the greenhouse. What is that? So we have taken actually different biochar doses, because we need to know that what is the biochar dose farmers, they need to apply. For conducting any experiment, you require a control. Have you heard about control before? Okay, so control means a control group with whom you will be comparing the effect of other treatment. Are you guys taking statistics? Any course you are taking statistics? No? No statistics? Design of experiment? No? Okay. Anyway, so statistics is very important, and you might be learning later. So we have taken actually 5 different biochar doses just to find out what biochar dose actually is better. In that particular case, so you need to have a control group. Okay, so with whom you will be comparing. So 0 ton per hectare was the 0 ton per hectare means where we did not apply any biochar. Okay, no biochar. Then we have used 5 ton per hectare biochar, 10 ton per hectare biochar, 15 ton per hectare biochar, and 20 ton per hectare. You understand ton, right? 1000 kg is equal to 1 ton. You understand hectare? Hectare? It is a measurement of the land. 1 hectare is equal to 10,000 square meter. Okay, so 5 biochar doses, and then we have also used AWD, means alternate wetting and drying irrigation. So AWD1 was 0 kPa, kilopascal. That is a measurement unit. 0 kPa means the field or the pot was saturated with moisture. Okay, saturated with moisture, but no standing water. Then second one is minus 15 kPa. That means the field was under drier condition. Minus means dry condition with 15 kPa. And then minus 30 kPa, that was even more dry condition. So if you go inside soil, right? So if a soil is more and more drier, right? In that particular case, the kilopascal value will be more and more negative. Okay. So these two we have studied in an experiment where biochar incorporation enhances growth, yield, and water productivity of transplanted rice under alternate wetting and drying irrigation. So these are some of the experimental facility. Okay. So we have studied under a greenhouse, so from stall preparation, then pot preparation, then planting, and then growth of rice and then some of the data collection, right? So we measure different growth data, physiological data, biochemical data, right? Water input data, right? And yield parameters data. Yeah, next one. Okay. And then you see that this, rice is at the reproductive stage, and he's my PhD student from Nepal. He's working on this project. So measuring different aspect of rice growth and physiology. Okay, so now you can see that when we were applying biochar, right? So now you can see the difference if you can understand. Of course, maybe only visibly, looking, you might not be understanding, but if you deeply look from 0 ton per hectare, where we did not use any biochar, compared with 20 ton per hectare, you can see that rice growth is far, far better. And then we will quantify that growth. Okay, maybe there is something coming in the slide. It was not there. Anyway, so that's what I said, that it is very, very important now. If you want to become a good scientist, now maybe many of you are bachelor students, right? All of you are bachelor students. Any postgraduate students are here? All bachelor students, right? One day you will have your master's and your PhD, then your postdoctorate. It is very, very important that you also now starting about statistics. Okay, I do not know whether in your curriculum you have that statistics or not. If you, without statistics, you cannot become a good scientist. And if you want to establish yourself, you should have a good command on your data, how you are processing the data, how you can statistically analyzing the data. That is very, very important. So very, very briefly, I will try to make you understand. So what kind of graph this is? This we call a bar diagram. Okay. So in the x-axis, we have biochar dose, and in the y-axis, we have grain yield. That is the measurement we do with rice. So we have measured grain yield in gram per plant. Okay. And biochar dose we have done with ton per hectare. I have explained to you, we had 5 biochar doses, 0, 5, 10, 15, and 20 ton per hectare. So now you can see that once you are going to 20 ton per hectare, okay, so the yield was the highest. You can at least understand this one, right? So the bar length actually increases compared with 0 ton per hectare. That you can see, right? Bar length increases means rice yield increases. And so with 20 ton per hectare, we are getting higher yield than no biochar application, 0 ton per hectare. And at the same time, this 2 bar, so you can see that 0 kPa, where the soil was saturated. That means there were more moisture. Okay. And then minus 15 kPa, where there was less moisture, the yield was the same. Can you see that the first 2 bar, the white bar and the next bar, both bar at the same level? That means with 15 kPa, with less moisture, we can maintain the yield. Okay. But the minus 30 kPa, where the moisture deficiency was high, that there was a drastic yield reduction. Okay. Next one. Okay. No, the previous one. Okay. So water productivity, which I told you that due to climate change, so we will have, a scarcity of water, but if we are using biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, so you can see that with 20 ton per hectare, the water productivity has substantially, increased compared with 0 ton per hectare. Okay. And the water productivity, also was better with minus 15 kPa. Okay. Then next one. So now, in many cases, when we are doing experiment, so we need to start the experiment from where you can manage. So in using greenhouse, it is very easy to manage the experiment. But in research community, they do not have much trust on greenhouse, because that greenhouse actually under control condition, and many of the, agriculture experiments need to be conducted under field experiment. But the good thing about greenhouse that you select some of the best treatment from the greenhouse, and then you replicate that under field condition. That is the same thing actually we have done under field experiment. You can see that we have only selected 3 doses. In the previous greenhouse experiment, we have selected 5 doses. Now, 10 ton and 20 ton per hectare, we have received the best results. So, we have selected, of course, there was a 0, right? 3 biochar doses, and then only 2 water management practices. Previously, there was 3. Now, we have received good results with alternate wetting and drying irrigation, minus 15 kPa. So, we have taken this yield. And then, in field experiment, we have also measured many other parameters, right? In the previous case, that was not possible. So, in the field experiment, continuous biochar application and alternate wetting and drying irrigation impacts on rice production, because farmers, they are interested to know where they are increasing their yield, their productivity. At the same time, whether soil fertility, because one of the objective of biochar was to see whether it can improve soil fertility. Third one, the environmental quality. So whether application of biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, how they are impacting soil microbial community, which is very, very important, and also surface water quality. Okay, next one. Yeah, so this is actually, we have around 5 hectares of field, in my department, where many of my students, they do this kind of field experiment. So starting with the field preparation and then planting of rice, you can see that installation of AWD pipe, the irrigation, and Shubesh, my PhD student, he was collecting some of the data. Next slide. Okay, and then the different, field pictorial view. So collection of data when the rice was matured, and then some of the collection of soil data and other data. Okay. Okay, so I know you do not have sufficient background, but I will try to explain it in a very easy way. Okay, so I told you that now carbon, there is 0.04% carbon dioxide concentration into the atmosphere. And if carbon dioxide concentration increases in the atmosphere, that means that it will be increasing global surface temperature. So we also need to sequester this carbon. One of the way to sequester more carbon is to plant more trees, which is not happening now because many countries we are doing deforestation just to regain more agricultural land. So when we have less trees, then ocean actually starts, absorbing this carbon dioxide. But if ocean starts absorbing this carbon dioxide, there are many negative impacts. Ocean can become more acidic, and then there are lots of other associated impacts. So now the emphasis is on to sequester this carbon inside soil. We call carbon sequestration. So now you can see that with application of biochar, we have 3 biochar doses, 0, 10, and 20 ton per hectare. We have conducted the experiment in 2 years, 2023, 2024. You can see that there is more soil carbon actually. So with the blue mark, so we can see that compared with 14.92 gram per kg, using 10 ton, we have 17.67, 20 ton, we have 18.67. That means there is more soil carbon is there, and also nitrogen, which is very, very important plant nutrients, the concentration is also increasing. Yes, next slide. And phosphorus, there are 3 important nutrients for plant production point of view. One is nitrogen, second one is phosphorus, and third one is potassium. So we have seen that soil, carbon concentration is increasing, and similarly, total nitrogen, available phosphorus and exchangeable potassium is also increasing. Next slide. Okay, I told you that it is not only yield, productivity, and farmers' profitability. If we want to make a sustainable soil with better, soil health, soil microbial community is also very, very important. We need to check when we are, incorporating any nature-based solutions, whether these, practices, they are compatible or not, especially soil bacterial population and also soil fungal population. So now with this, figures, you can see that in both years, when we are using biochar 10 ton and 20 ton per hectare, you can see that soil microbial population, bacterial population and fungal population, you can measure actually. Soil bacterial population and fungal population, CFU means colony forming unit. Maybe some other time I can explain. So in both years, so soil microbial population actually is increasing. So now there are some of the important knowledge we have gained from this experiment. We have seen that in 2 years field experiment, biochar actually boosted soil organic carbon. So it increasing, carbon sequestration, support when it is, sequestering more carbon. That means it is actually helping climate change mitigation. It increased soil nutrient availability. You have seen that, both nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, the concentration was higher when we are using biochar. Okay. And then soil microbial population, especially, bacteria and fungal population also increased. Yes. And then the second point was the yield. So you can see that in both years, 2023, 2024, so using biochar substantially has increased yield compared with the control where we did not apply any biochar application. And second point, that yield is also comparable between 10 ton per hectare and 20 ton per hectare. So the question comes, if yield is comparable with 10 to 20 ton per hectare, then why farmers they will be using 20 ton per hectare? Because they can get the same benefit using 10 ton per hectare. Yes, next slide. Okay, and then total water input, how much water we have applied in each plot, we have also quantified that in the form of meter cube per hectare. Later, I can explain how we have measured, but what I can tell you that, so water productivity has substantially increased by incorporation of biochar and also by incorporation of alternate wetting and drying irrigation. So now with the yield and water productivity point of view, we can make these two important conclusions based on the previous things. So yield increase, we have seen application of biochar 15% or more, and water productivity also improved by 10% or more, which is a good thing. And with using alternate wetting and drying irrigation, which is yield was comparable to continuous flooding. Continuous flooding is the farmer's practice, and saved almost 40% water, which is very, very important for farmers' point of view. They can substantially reduce, irrigation water input and increase water productivity by as high as 60%. Yeah. Okay. So now I also told you that it is not only yield, not only water productivity, microbial population. We also need to know how it is impacting, the water quality. Because this is the water we also use for our drinking purpose. If surface water quality is not good, then it will be also impacting the groundwater quality, which we normally use for drinking purpose. So, chemical oxygen demand. So there are 3 parameters you can actually measure to know that what is the quality of the surface water. We call indicators. One is chemical oxygen demand. Second one is nitrogen. Third one is phosphorus. Okay. So with biochar, you can see that chemical oxygen demand was substantially reduced. What it means? So just to tell you very easily, lower chemical oxygen demands means better surface water quality. Right? So you can see that when we are using biochar, so there was a substantial reduction of, chemical oxygen demand. And the same thing also happened with total nitrogen and total phosphorus. Okay. So how many of you have known about eutrophication? Any of you? Eutrophication, have you heard about? blue baby syndrome? Not? Okay. Okay, next slide. So yeah, so same thing we have also seen with chemical oxygen demand. Yeah. Okay, so with biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, so we can make these two important findings on water quality. So with biochar, it reduced chemical oxygen demand, total nitrogen and phosphorus in rice water, which is very, very important. And then with alternate wetting and drying, it has resulted in lower chemical oxygen demand concentration in rice water, particularly at the flowering stage and under lower biochar conditions. Okay. So now the most important question comes that if farmers, they are going to use biochar and alternate wetting and drying irrigation, whether it is profitable or not. Because farmers, they don't care much about water, they don't care much about, microbial community, water quality. They think about their yield and productivity. And then there is no, shortcut way of success. I always tell my student, okay, so biochar basically is an organic amendment. If we really want to see the impact of biochar, especially on productivity and farmers' profitability, we need to conduct this experiment for a little bit longer time. Because as an organic amendment, to show the impact, it requires little bit more time. So we have conducted this experiment in 2 years, where in the net profit, we could not find any net profit. Okay, because the experiment was done only for 2 years. But from literature, we can tell you that, so incorporating biochar and alternate wetting and drying little bit longer time, it will be proved, beneficial for the farmers. Okay, so two important points from biochar and AWD regarding their profitability. We can conclude that, so increased cost of production by incorporating biochar, but enhanced revenue compared with the control. Because of biochar cost, net profit was lower. With AWD, so decrease the cost of production compared with continuous flooding, and revenue and net profit was also comparable to continuous flooding. So this is a graphical abstract. So when we write scientific publication, you also need to graphically present your result just in one slide. So whatever I have told you, this is overall represented in a graphical abstract. So now using biochar, so more than 15% grain yield increase, 10% water productivity was there, and nutrient retention and water quality also improved. Okay, so total revenue also improved. In case of alternate wetting and drying irrigation, there were more than 6% more soil organic carbon, 40% water saving, 60% more water productivity, and almost less than 3% less production cost. Okay, so now what are the overall findings? I'm very close to end of this presentation. So the overall conclusion from this series of experiments we have done, so biochar at 10 ton per hectare gives us the best improvement in rice growth, physiology, yield and water productivity. And AWD irrigation achieved yields which is comparable to conventional flooding system, because many times farmer, they worry that if we are using, alternate wetting and drying irrigation, whether there will be a yield reduction. So through experiments, we have proved that there is no yield reduction. And at the same time, it also, reduce water use and improve water productivity. So the combined approach actually improved soil fertility, crop productivity, contributed to climate change mitigation through carbon sequestration. So these regenerative practices could be promising solution for sustainable production and environment. And we also recommend some future research. So these are two of the publications, scientific publications we have already conducted based on the our greenhouse experiments. If you are interested, I hope that you will be going for your master's PhD, where you will be doing many research. At that point, you will also understand, the importance of publishing your work in scientific journals. Okay. I have time more. 5 minutes? Okay, I am almost done. So, but there are always some of the drawbacks of any technology, we are putting. Of course, with regenerative practices, there are also some of the drawbacks. You can ask that if these technologies are so good, why the adoption of the farmers is not so great? Because there are many hurdles actually we need to still cross. Okay, so first we talk about knowledge gaps. So farmers, they still are not aware about this kind of technologies. So that's what we are recommending many training and awareness programs, especially from the, extension department in agriculture, department of the concerned state government, or in the central government we have, an extension wing. So they should be doing more, knowledge sharing, training, so that the farmers, they can use this kind of techniques. There are some upfront cost because the farmers, they need to buy biochar. They can prepare also at their home, and the AWD pipe. So there is an investment, although it is minor, but farmers, they require actual investment. Weak policy support. There is no much government support now directed to this kind of practices. There is low market demand because many cases farmers, they don't know. And there are short-term versus long-term trade-offs, because farmers, mainly they are interested in their yield. They don't, take into consideration much about soil, about greenhouse gas, about water quality. So, So the future of regenerative agriculture is promising because this is a pathway for sustainability. There is a global momentum. Many countries, many places, they are using this, as a important practices. And also we need to encourage these innovative practices to the greater farmer society. And now it is the call of the scientific community and the government, to implement this kind of technologies for the betterment of the farming community. Yes. Okay, last one. Next. Okay, so with this one, I end. I know that some of the topic maybe is not very much familiar with you, but I have tried my best. If you have any further questions, so my details, contact details are given to Dr. Shanti, so I will be happy to respond to you. Thank you very much.
Agriculture is the backbone of our nation, but regenerative agriculture is the future of our planet. Thank you, sir, for your enriching thematic address that broaden our perspectives on regenerative agriculture.
Gratitude is the simplest, most powerful way to acknowledge life's blessing. Let me call upon Dr. C. Helen, Associate Professor, PG and Research Department of Home Science, to deliver the oath of thanks.
A very pleasant morning to one and all present here. On behalf of the organizing committee of the International Conference, it is my honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's inaugural session. First and foremost, I express my deep gratitude to the Almighty for the successful beginning of the academic gathering. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to our respected secretary, Dr. Sister Ignatius Mary, for her constant encouragement and support in organizing this international conference. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed principal, Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, for delivering the inaugural address and releasing the conference proceedings. Thank you, Sister, for your constant support, guidance, and inspiring leadership. A sincere gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Professor Abhishek Takta, Professor, Department of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, for delivering an enlightening address. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable insights. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran for agreeing to lead today's technical session. We look forward to your session with great enthusiasm. I express my profound thanks to the vice principals of both Shift 1 and Shift 2 for their constant support. A special word of thanks to Dr. S. Shanti, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Home Science, for her unwavering efforts in organizing the conference. A sincere thanks to all faculty members, scholars, presenters, and participants joining us from various institutions. I also thank the organizing team, student volunteers, technical support staff who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this event successful. Finally, my heartfelt thanks to each one of you present here for your gracious participation and support. Wishing you all a fruitful day of learning. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am. May today's insight guide tomorrow's action and shape brighter future. A pass in between adds freshness to the journey ahead. We'll have a tea break up to 11:30 a.m. The tea will be served at the annexure left side of the Jubilee Hall. We will assemble in the same hall sharp at 11:30 for the technical session 1. Thank you.
Angel, Tishri,
சிப்பின் ஹவர்ஸ் மதுரையில் அடிக்கிற வெயிலுக்கு சும்மா ஜில்லுன்னு மண்பானையில லஸ்ஸி குடிச்சா எப்படி இருக்கும்? அப்போ சிப்பின் ஹவர் இந்த இடத்தை நோட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. மதுரையில மட்டும் இல்ல.
Participants, kindly settle down faster. We are about to begin the next section.
சிப்பின் ஹவர்ஸ் மதுரையில் அடிக்கிற வெயிலுக்கு சும்மா ஜில்லுன்னு மண்பானையில லஸ்ஸி குடிச்சா எப்படி இருக்கும்? அப்போ சிப்பின் ஹவர் இந்த இடத்தை நோட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. மதுரையில மட்டும் இல்ல, தமிழ்நாட்டிலேயே pH லெவல் மெயின்டைன் பண்ற வாட்டர்ல ஹெல்தியா லஸ்ஸி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றது இவங்க மட்டும்தான். இப்படி ஒரு குவாலிட்டிய மெயின்டைன் பண்ற ஸ்பாட்ட நீங்க பாத்திருக்கவே மாட்டீங்க தெரியுமா? வாட்டரோட குவாலிட்டிய மானிட்டர் பண்றதுக்கு டேங்க்ல சிசிடிவி பிக்ஸ் பண்ணி அது எல்லாரும் பாக்குற மாதிரி ஓபன் கிச்சன் கான்செப்ட்ல செட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. எந்த ஒரு ஆர்டிபிஷியல் டச்சுமே இல்லாம 41 வெரைட்டிஸ்ல லஸ்ஸி இருக்கு. 59 ரூபாய் மட்டும்தான். ஆர்கானிக் சுகர், அது மட்டும் இல்ல, பயோடிகிரேடபிள் கப்ஸ்ல தான் சர்வ் பண்றாங்க. இவங்க கிட்ட லஸ்ஸி மட்டும்தான் கிடைக்குதா? இல்லைங்க, இன்னும் நிறைய பிளேவர்ஸ்ல ஐஸ்கிரீம் அண்ட் சாக்லேட்ஸும் இருக்கு. சிப்பின் ஹவர் இந்த இடம் பாத்திமா காலேஜ் கிட்ட, அதாவது கண்ணன் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஸ்டோர்ல இருந்து சர்வீஸ் ரோட்ல வந்தீங்கன்னா அந்த இடத்துல இருக்கு. சம்மரோட ஹீட்ட பீட் பண்றதுக்கு இந்த ஸ்பாட்டுக்கு மிஸ் பண்ணாம வந்துருங்க. சிப்பின் ஹவர், ஒவ்வொரு சிப்பிலையும் நமக்கு திருப்தி. சிப்பின் ஹவர்ஸ் மதுரையில் அடிக்கிற வெயிலுக்கு சும்மா ஜில்லுன்னு மண்பானையில லஸ்ஸி குடிச்சா எப்படி இருக்கும்? அப்போ சிப்பின் ஹவர் இந்த இடத்தை நோட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. மதுரையில மட்டும் இல்ல, தமிழ்நாட்டிலேயே pH லெவல் மெயின்டைன் பண்ற வாட்டர்ல ஹெல்தியா லஸ்ஸி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றது இவங்க மட்டும்தான். இப்படி ஒரு குவாலிட்டிய மெயின்டைன் பண்ற ஸ்பாட்ட நீங்க பாத்திருக்கவே மாட்டீங்க தெரியுமா? வாட்டரோட குவாலிட்டிய மானிட்டர் பண்றதுக்கு டேங்க்ல சிசிடிவி பிக்ஸ் பண்ணி அது எல்லாரும் பாக்குற மாதிரி ஓபன் கிச்சன் கான்செப்ட்ல செட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. எந்த ஒரு ஆர்டிபிஷியல் டச்சுமே இல்லாம 41 வெரைட்டிஸ்ல லஸ்ஸி இருக்கு. 59 ரூபாய் மட்டும்தான். ஆர்கானிக் சுகர், அது மட்டும் இல்ல, பயோடிகிரேடபிள் கப்ஸ்ல தான் சர்வ் பண்றாங்க. இவங்க கிட்ட லஸ்ஸி மட்டும்தான் கிடைக்குதா? இல்லைங்க, இன்னும் நிறைய பிளேவர்ஸ்ல ஐஸ்கிரீம் அண்ட் சாக்லேட்ஸும் இருக்கு. சிப்பின் ஹவர் இந்த இடம் பாத்திமா காலேஜ் கிட்ட, அதாவது கண்ணன் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஸ்டோர்ல இருந்து சர்வீஸ் ரோட்ல வந்தீங்கன்னா அந்த இடத்துல இருக்கு. சம்மரோட ஹீட்ட பீட் பண்றதுக்கு இந்த ஸ்பாட்டுக்கு மிஸ் பண்ணாம வந்துருங்க. சிப்பின் ஹவர், ஒவ்வொரு சிப்பிலையும் நமக்கு திருப்தி. சிப்பின் ஹவர்ஸ் மதுரையில் அடிக்கிற வெயிலுக்கு சும்மா ஜில்லுன்னு மண்பானையில லஸ்ஸி குடிச்சா
Go down and sit அப்புறம் இதை திருப்பிக்கிறேன். So that to see my slides. Come here, you go to your chair, we'll call you.
We extend a warm welcome to all participants as we commence the technical session 1. The science of today is the technology of tomorrow. It's my privilege to invite our esteemed resource person, Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran, Deputy Director, Industry Partnership, Head, Glycemic Research Unit, Thematic Polytechnic, Singapore, to take the stage and enlighten the audience with your valuable perspective on the topic Beyond Enough, Reframing Food Security Through a Nutritional Lens. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? No. I think this is this one. Can I use this mic? No, maybe I'll use this. So, am I audible now? Okay. So, how many of you are still not sleeping? Are you all awake? Okay, let's start the topic. Okay, first is at the beginning, I should thank a very important person, and I think you all should know who it is. It is Dr. Shanti. She's also my good friend, and when she invited me to speak, I was a bit hesitant because I was supposed to come in December to be with my mom. Even though I'm a Singaporean, I'm still Indian at heart, so I wanted to come. But again, I couldn't refuse Dr. Shanti because she was persistently telling that I should be here to talk. And the topic she gave me was something on food security. So the time she called, we had just finished an international conference on food security from people from 15 countries all over the world. So I said, food security, everyone knows. Why not we talk about nutrition security? Because I'm a dietitian by training. And so I thought nutrition is close to my heart. And most of you must be nutrition students here. Are you all nutrition students? Okay. So instead of me talking, I should be here and you should all be here talking. So I'm going to ask you some questions and I hope you can answer. So the title for today is Beyond Enough. Reframing food security through a nutrition lens. So I saw some of you crowding there. So what were you all doing in that corner? Remember, most of you are crowding to buy a drink, is it? Okay, so when you eat something, do you look at nutrition? What did you have for your tea break? Can anyone shout? One person? What were tea then? Oh my God. Samosa, is it? Okay, when you look at through nutrition lens, can you eat samosa? Right? So we look at a lot of things like that, is it, when you talk about nutrition security, you don't look at food just as it is, but you look at how this food is created. So it is a very deep topic. I will try to make it as simple as possible. So first is a very new vision. When you look at the vision for global food security, it goes beyond quantity to embrace the power of nutrition. Because when you talk about food security, we always think of hunger, poverty. Do we have enough mouths to feed? Do you have enough food to feed? But now with nutrition security, you have food, but you are not eating the right food. For example, samosa. When you talk about nutrition security, samosa will score 0. Right? So, but still we all eat such type of food. So when you talk about food security, we look at what is food security. Food security exists when people at all times have physical, social, economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. So from it, when you look at this, it's again, all the people should have physical, social, economic access. Physical access means you are able to grab the food. You see a food, you are able to eat it. As well as you are able to buy the food, you have economic viability. If I want to buy the food, do you have enough money to buy the food? At the same time, you also make sure the food is safe to consume. food safety is beyond nutrition security. The first thing is food safety. If the food is not safe to eat, then there's no point talking about nutrition security. In the kind of food safety, when you talk about salads, do you think salads are safe to eat or samosa is safe to eat? Which is safe? Oh my God, you're wrong. Salad is uncooked. So when I travel, when someone offers me a salad on roadside, let us see. I'm going for street food. You know, Madurai is very famous for street food. Yes? So when I go on the street, if I want to eat, let's say, even pani puri, bel puri and all that, which uses raw vegetables, I will not eat it. Because anything raw is not safe. But your samosa is deep fried. So that makes sure it is safe. So that is why when you look at nutrition security, you also look at food safety. So this is a very complex phenomenon for you to understand. And I think most of you, if you are in the master's or PhD, will be able to understand nutrition security. So these are the sustainable goals, SGDs. When you look at SGDs, are you all aware of SGDs? Yes? Okay. Among the SGDs, when you look at the top, first one, no poverty. So that talks about if you have no poverty, you have enough food. Okay? That comes under food security. Second one, zero hunger. So when I have done a project in Africa, dealing on with WHO, World Health Organization. When I was in Africa, I realized that, okay, we talk about all different kinds of food. But there in Africa, I went to Africa in 2019, just before COVID, to do this project. So I can see small children, okay, they don't go to school. But early morning when they wake up, they walk miles and miles to get just a small can of water, very small can. So the whole family, let's say there are 10 children, they all walk, and by the time they come home, from morning 9 to 3 o'clock, just to get a can of water. So then we are talking about hunger. So hunger is something, in the case of Africa, you cannot compare. I also remember, when your children, when we don't eat food, they will tell, don't waste food. People are dying of hunger in Africa. This is the worst thing we can even tell. Because that's instant to me as a nutritionist. I will always say, if you don't waste your food, if you eat more than you want, all your calories will go to your waste, not gone. I think. Okay, I think I have to use this mic. So if you overeat, where does your calories go to? Right? We are talking about hunger. But let's say when you overeat, where does your calories go to? Anyone? Where do you store your calories? Anything when you overeat, where do you store your calories? Maybe the person in red, can you shout out the answer? Thank you. Liver. No, mainly all your excess calories will be stored as fat, right? So that is why we tell you, we waste, if you cannot eat, you waste your food, otherwise it will go on your waist. So your waist gets bigger. So when you talk about that, then you don't talk about the SGD goal of zero hunger. The third one is good health and well-being. So when you have hunger, you don't have good health. When you overeat, you also don't have good health. So these three SGDs are what we are going to talk about. So the link between sustainable development goals and food security depends on what you eat, how you cook them, and even the cooking method matters. Okay, so mostly what I see in India is more and more We need not talk about food security. Food is available everywhere, but it is the wrong type of food which is eaten, especially when you are all from the nutrition department. And if you are eating samosa, then that is what I meant is, are you talking about nutrition security? So when you look at the sustainable secure systems, okay, is the first one, you keep pressing, yeah. So you talk about environment and where is your food available. So under the availability, you can have the national availability. In India, we have different programs, but what is available to you and me is at the household level. And how much you eat will be at the individual level. Okay, so this individual level decides whether you are a healthy person or you are an unhealthy person. So the last part, the individual level, is what decides on the nutrition security. Okay, so next. Yep. So the 4 pillars of food security, which are connected with nutrition security, will be the availability of food, accessibility, utilization, and stability. Okay, so maybe now you all don't remember when you eat your samosa. I'm giving that as an example. Do you even think, how is this food made available? Where do I get wheat from? I think Prof. Datta showed you how agriculture is being started, right? So you need to think of, where do I get my food source? Okay, so how is this food even cultivated? How is wheat cultivated? Which part of India is it coming from? Then how are potatoes coming from? So all this depends on your availability. Then do you have accessibility? So in the case of, when you look at poor people, lower socio-economic people, their accessibility can be through ration shops. You all know about ration shops, right? So in ration shops, you get wheat and rice. So that is what is talking about accessibility. Are you utilizing? I know a lot of my people, I know some of the domestic helpers, they buy the food from the ration, they don't eat it, they sell it, right? They sell it to make money. So this is the reality. So that is what I talk about. Are you utilizing what you get? And the last one is stability. How can you make this system stable? So I always strongly believe that each and every one of you, when you think these 4 pillars, then you can start, because you are the future of India. You need to see, can I make a difference? Whatever you learn from today, how can you bring it back to your family? Can you do a change? So food availability and accessibility. This is a photo I took when I was in Turkey. Okay, in Turkey, in the remote places, when they do their markets, you can see different parts of the markets, how you do that, right? Similar to this. Next slide. So beyond enough. Everyone has food, but beyond enough is what is nutrition. Are you eating the right food? That is what is really the right food, accessible food. Then you talk about whether it's beyond enough. So where are we now? So now talking about food security, are we talking about food quality? Later I'll come to whether we are eating quality food. And is nutrition even emphasized? In fact, I feel nutrition is underemphasized. Okay, we never bother about nutrition. That is why even to date, India pays the lowest for nutritionists and dietitians. Okay, no one values nutrition, but they talk about food security without nutrition security. I see, when I went to Singapore 30 years back, I made sure every nutritionist or dietitian gets paid equivalent to a medical doctor. Okay, so that is why doctors are equally treated, nutritionists and dietitians are equally treated as doctors. So they are under the same healthcare profession. That is why we value nutritionists and dietitians. Then nutrition insecurity. Otherwise, what happens is we will always be nutrition insecure. And India is the diabetic capital of the world. Since nutrition is not given importance, even today, when you look at the world map, where are the maximum number of diabetic patients? it is India, followed by China. If nutrition was given importance, why do you have such high rates of diabetes? Maybe I want to have a show of hands. If anyone in your family, if you don't know of a person who has diabetes, or your family member does not have diabetes, or you don't have any friend who has diabetes, or you have never heard of diabetes. Anyone? See, all of you know someone who has diabetes, right? That shows the gravity of the problem. With diabetes, you really, our country's economic status will go down, because diabetes hits when you are in your 30s and 40s. That is when you are more productive, right? So when you all start earning, you'll be around 25, 30, right? So imagine if diabetes hits you, every month you need to spend 1,000 over rupees for buying medication. That is the reason why next time, if someone offers you something, you ask yourself, is it nutritious? Do I need to eat this food? Right? So these are some of the things you need to think. Okay, so nutrition security will be defined as consistent access, availability, affordability of foods and beverages which promote well-being. So that is the reason why I want you all to really take this message. Try to inculcate healthy eating habits. First is in the food you bring. If you all bring food do you all carry food to school or to your college? Do you bring your food for lunch, or do you buy outside? Do you bring your lunch? Yes or no? So next time when you bring lunch, you need to I'll teach you tips how to make your lunch as nutritious as possible. Otherwise, most of you will be bringing, I will let you know what are the stuff you bring to lunch, right? So consistent access, which you all have, right? You all bring your own food. That is access. Availability, you have available food. Affordability, you're all able to bring. So you satisfy all that. What you don't satisfy is it healthy? Okay, this is the point. Next, we look at it. Okay, so nutrition security will be food security plus diet quality plus equity. It is more than the sum of its parts. So when I talk about equity, I'm actually very fond with health equity. I always remember this. When you're sitting down on the roadside, if a person drives a BMW or a Mercedes, what do you do? Wow. Okay, and this person is very young. You will think, oh my God, this person, why can he not be my husband? Okay, because this person is driving a flashy car, right? You always will think. We never envy health. If a healthy person, but this person who drives the BMW has diabetes, has heart disease, you never think of that. But a person just walking on the streets is super healthy. But you never pay attention to health, right? So that is why health equity is what I'm passionate about, and that is what my research is about. Next one. So this is a very busy slide. Nutrition security, why is it very important? The first part is it gives you holistic health outcomes. Holistic means it takes care of your complete health. What bodies need for balanced intake of nutritional micronutrients, both macronutrients, micronutrients. It takes care of that. Okay, we are always talking about calorie because I don't believe a calorie is a calorie. I drink a can of Coke or any soft drink, which is, let's say, 100 calories. I eat an apple. An apple is also 100 calories. So both are equivalent in calories. Which one will you choose? Okay, if you want nutrition, you will choose an apple, right? Both, so you don't look at calories, but you need to look at nutrients. That is what is the first holistic health outcomes. Next one is economic productivity. If you are healthy, you are able to be productive. Resilience to disease. You will never fall sick. You will become resilient to some of the chronic diseases like diabetes and cancers. See, in India, cancer rates are increasing tremendously. When I was a child, when I grew up in India, I don't see any cancer hospital. But now every district has cancer hospitals. Oncologists are everywhere. That tells you the whole country is not becoming healthy. The next one is cognitive development and education. If you eat a healthy breakfast, you will not fall asleep. You'll be always sharp in thinking. You'll be able to be more productive. And the last one is biodiversity and nutrition. Try to eat what is produced in our country. Because we have an agricultural country. Try to eat lot of millets, locally grown produce instead of imported products. Yep. So why nutrition matters is, it is beyond calories. It offers health and stability. But India always faces nutrition challenges. In the next slide, I explain to you why. So you can see, India is still, when I go and speak at international conferences, even though I am Singaporean, okay, they look at, when they see Singaporean, Singapore is made of Chinese, Malays, and Indians. Indian is only 7%. Okay, so mostly it's Chinese. So, but when I represent Singapore at international conferences, they always think I'm from India. Okay, they cannot associate an Indian face with a Singaporean, right? So they always will think, the first question they'll ask me is, your country has lot of undernutrition or malnutrition, right? So this one, in undernutrition, 850 million people suffer. Imagine 850 million is a big number. And then 2 billion people suffer from micronutrient deficiency, overweight and obesity. So India has all the three in one place, that is India. You have undernutrition, obesity, as well as micronutrient deficiency like anemia. Still goiter is prevalent. And we also have folic acid deficiency among pregnancy. Yeah. So what do we do with this? So when you look at this, that is why we have economic disparity. Only top 10% of Indians can get what they want. Most of them are from the poorer household, and also healthcare infrastructure. Most of the hospitals do not have nutritionists or dietitians. So the infrastructure is lacking, as well as the mixed legacy. So we produce millets, right? 2023 was the year of millets. But how many of you bring millets for lunch? Can I have a show of hands? No one, right? So that is what I meant. Most of you bring only rice for lunch. If you change that to millets, you will never get diabetes. That's what I meant by Green Revolution's mixed legacy. Even though you talk about millets, but many don't eat millets. The millets, because I was also asked to be advisor for ITC. You all know ITC company and Nestle. So I'm the consultant for them. So when I was the consultant for ITC, we developed the low GI atta with millets. So that is when I asked them, why do you need to do biscuits with millets? That is the worst thing you can eat, because biscuits are processed food. Rather, you eat millets, just boil the millets and eat as rice. These are the things which should be done. Next is in the case of climate change. Later, I will talk about climate change and also the knowledge gap. Even your nutrition students, but I feel there is a knowledge gap in what you are supposed to do. First, you practice what you're doing, then you can preach to the rest. You should be the role models of nutrition. Yeah. So this is what is the Bennett's Law. When you look at Bennett's Law, we study this in health economics. What happens is, this law shows that people who have more money eat healthy. This is proven across the world. Those who have more money, you choose healthier foods. So that is when I will always tell why are we not making more money? Who is stopping you from making more money? You should become food entrepreneurs, create new foods, make more money. You try to also produce novel foods for everyone, right? So that is why, so this economics of your food choice, try to make food more affordable. And in the global hunger index, India is at the 105th position. You see, this is, again, you may think, okay, I'm still not the top position, but still we are within that hunger index. This has to be changed. Yeah, next. So this again this is a typical scene on any street you go, right? You can see lot of fried foods wherever you go. I have traveled across India. What is mainly seen is fried foods. Fried foods, sweet shop, bakery. To me, bakery is a Western culture. Why do you even need to eat baked goods? That's not our culture, right? So when you look at it, we are calorie sufficient. That's why I don't believe in zero hunger. We have adequate calories. We eat more calories, but we are nutrient deficient. We are eating the wrong calories. We are eating just carbs and fat and not enough protein. Yep. So urbanization. So most of the time we are into urbanization. That is why what happened is it's a double-edged sword. We are over-reliant on ultra-processed foods. So especially, I am very shocked at the burger culture. Wherever you go, I see long queues in McDonald's, in KFC, eating burgers and pizzas. So these are the foods which Western world now doesn't want to eat. They call it ultra processed, but what we do, Indians gravitate towards such foods. Okay, so the egg story. When you look at egg story, egg is a very humble food. You boiled eggs. It is very easy, right? No need to do anything. Just boil it, eat it. It gives you the best protein. It's a very high quality protein. But in midday meal programs in India, I was thinking why they introduced eggs. But there was so much of backlash telling that it is not culturally adaptive. Because some of the cultures are vegetarians. They don't want to eat eggs. So this again, then you need to eat pulses. But do we eat that? That is also a process. That is the reason why there is always this policy implementation, but there is a gap between intent and impact. I hope as young nutritionists, you all need to make this change. You need to create products which are as good as eggs, can be also eaten by vegetarians and vegans. Yep. So this again, 30% of Indian diets fall. Okay, when you look at the recommendation, can you see the one richest in India, even only 10% are able to eat the right protein. Okay, we don't eat enough protein. That is why since you eat too much of carbs, what you get is diabetes. Okay, diabetes, the only reason for diabetes is eating more than what is required, the high amount of carbs and fat. So 30% of the population does not even eat enough protein. So this is again, you can see they give free food, right? So this is India's program. So 35 kgs per family per year, everyone gets it. But what is being given is, mostly it is grains, rice and wheat, and little bit of maybe pulses. So to me, if this is given more of protein, then you can completely change diabetes, right? This is the something which I don't know whether the nutritionists of India should change this from the policy giving it free, and even rice fortification. Even with rice fortification, we are only fortifying rice, which again is carbs. Nothing is done to the protein. Without protein, I don't think the entire country can become healthy. So the food loss, the next one, what we do is lot of food loss and waste. So this again, when you lose, we are talking about hunger, but at the same time, there is so much of food loss. So once this has been corrected, why is it wasted is people don't value food. Once all the food, which is nothing, should be given free. If you ask me, I know I'm speaking at a very public place. But once you give something free, people don't value it. Once you put, okay, you give free food, I want to see an improvement in your health. Then I think people will start valuing what is being given. So what is one thing? I hope this one you all can answer. What is one thing that has impacted all four pillars of nutrition security? And this thing is very hard to control. You can control by a few things you can do. What is, the four pillars of food security is availability, accessibility, affordability, right? And stability. What is one thing which impacts all the four? Anyone? If you answer this, tomorrow I will pass you a gift. Anyone? I think, next slide. So the one thing which has impacted is climate change. So I also heard from your professor yesterday that it was day before yesterday there was heavy rains and then schools were closed. So if you don't think deeply, you'll be thinking, good, I need not go to college, right? So that is a very, not a deep thinking. So you need to immediately think, why are there flash floods? That's because of climate change. So what can you do for climate change? First thing, when I see these plastic bottles, in my institution, I also run a 120-seater cafe, which is a nutritious cafe. Only nutritious food is available. And when you want any unhealthy food, you need to pay more. Unhealthy food is twice the cost of healthy food. And no plastic. The entire campus is plastic free. Even for our guests, we tell our guests, bring your own bottle. No plastic completely. So this is something I want you all to practice. Even when you go outside, even in weddings, when I come to India, attend weddings, I am really shocked as everyone gets a bottle, right? And half of it is they just drink one mouth, it is left. So all this leads to climate change. And one more thing, also, I drive, but I decided we don't drive. Me and my husband, we don't drive. Because that is something I can save the earth. Even though in Singapore, car is expensive, but all my colleagues drive. But I gave up driving. I cycle to work. This is something I can do. So that like that, each and every one of you, I want you to make a change today. Go home. If you use plastic, eradicate that. And try to make each and every one. And also don't buy too many clothes. Every time you buy a lot of clothes, you're also impacting climate change. You have a minimalistic living. You will, at least you see that you are able to do something to India, right? You have to protect our country. Yeah, the next one. So this is again a very busy slide. I'll make it very simple. Psychology. Because we always talk about nutrition. All the best nutrition should be psychologists. You need to influence, right? You should be an influencer. I know many of you are influencers. So you can create a YouTube post. Try to influence others to follow a healthy lifestyle. That is what is psychosocial functioning. How do you influence the people around you? At least every day, when I wake up in the morning, I will try to influence 5 people to follow healthy eating. This 5 people will influence another 5. So then it becomes a movement, right? Next one. So this is again, I just told about diabetes, right? Relationship between food security, nutrition, and diabetes. If you want to stop diabetes, you have to start today and start now. Next one. Yep. So nutrition security is also nutrition sustainability. I talk about how do you make it sustainable, cut down food waste, and nutrition quality. Later I'll come about quality and also diet quality, right? Yeah. And all this leads to health and well-being of the nation. So you may think, I am not going to make a change. No, every one of you can make a change. So are we eating enough protein? This is from latest article from India, Deccan Chronicle. 9 to 11% of only your calories come from protein. 20% should come from protein. So next time, I know what you bring for lunch. You may bring lemon rice. Am I right? Tomato rice, tamarind rice. Where is the protein? There is no protein, right? So what you do is, don't bring rice. Instead, you bring your chickpea. Chickpea is, sundal. You can bring your chickpea with your vegetables. You try to eat that. You will never become, your waist will always be the same. Even after 30 years, if I meet you, you will be the same. You try this, and you also practice this with your family. One meal, cut down rice. If you want to eat, I don't eat rice at all. I eat only rice, half rice with millets. Mixed with millets, and in Singapore, millets are 3 times more costly than rice. So millets don't spike your blood sugar levels. Especially the millet, not all millets, because I do glycemic index testing. We have tested all types of millets, or mixed with barley, and then try to just eat only one handful. When you eat your lunchbox, the whole thing is rice. Half your plate should be vegetables. And maybe bring an egg, right? So if you're eating eggs, you can bring, or meat. You need to have protein, enough protein in your meal. So your brain will be smart. Yeah. Okay, so I think you can go the next one. I think there is something, I don't know what is happening. Okay, so I hope you all can shift your paradigm. A paradigm shift, what your thinking should shift, and you will become, finally, you will be the thinkers who can change the policy and also can make a strategic investment. Yeah, next. Okay, so beyond enough. That is why my last slide is talking about protein. I want to take home this message. Try to cut down your carbs, eat enough protein, and also if anyone offers you deep fried foods, what will you say? Cut down. In a week, not more than 2 times a week, you cannot have deep fried foods. Yep. So any questions, you can also connect me on LinkedIn. I don't know why there is a thing. I can leave my email ID with Prof. Shanti. Anytime you're welcome. And next slide. So this is my last slide. I don't know what happened. So this is my institution. It's a very beautiful place. It faces a big lake. So the entire departments all face the lake. We have a lot of water activities. So anytime you're coming to Singapore, you let me know. I can host you. Thank you. Yep.
On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Kalpana Bhaskaran. Ma'am, your lecture broadened our understanding, reminding us that true food security goes far beyond ensuring food availability. It lies in ensuring nutritional adequacy, dietary diversity, access, dignity, and sustainable approaches that improve lives across communities. Thank you once again for your meaningful contribution.
Knowledge enriches the brain, but lunch powers the body. Let us now break for lunch. Lunch is served at Annexure. Please enjoy the meal and come refreshed for the next section, oral presentation.